Scientists were afraid of how smart he was. Intelligence is not something that can be measured in science. But sometimes there doesn't even need to be a comparison. In rooms filled with the brightest minds of the 20th century, some people didn't feel the need to speak because there was someone there, someone who went beyond the normal limits of the human mind. John von Neumann. This video is not about why scientists were impressed by his intelligence. It explains why he was viewed with caution and even fear. Von Neumann's memory was not just powerful, it was also highly efficient and functional. When Neumann's mind is examined in a scientific context, in the human brain, working memory capacity is limited. The average person can hold about 7+2 units of information at the same time. And von Neumann, he never actually exceeded this limit. He bypassed it entirely. He could read a book, and months, sometimes years later, down to the page numbers and exactly what was written on each page. He could remember all of it and quote it verbatim. It is even said that he memorized every name and number in phone directories. It is also said that he could read books, pages and entire texts backward. Of course, Neumann's memory was not merely simple memorization. It was the ability to structurally encode and manage information. And it was this ability and this power that made Neumann someone people were wary of and even afraid of. Human intelligence is not merely about knowledge, it is speed. Von Neumann's mind worked both serially and in parallel with the functional efficiency of his mind. The human brain generally processes information sequentially. Multitasking is largely an illusion. Von Neumann's brain, however, listened at the same time, solved problems at the same time, and made predictions simultaneously. While teams worked together on a mathematical problem, von Neumann had already solved the problem in his head. He did this without using paper or pencil, and the result in his mind was always correct. Everything you've heard so far is neither a legend nor something unreal. There were witnesses to every moment and every event. His colleagues at Princeton, Albert Einstein, Robert Oppenheimer, Emmy Noether, Hermann Weyl, Kurt Gödel, scientists from the Manhattan Project, Robert Oppenheimer, Leo Szilard, Arthur Compton, and members of the Institute for Advanced Study. A physicist once said this about Neumann. When you spoke with him, you felt as if you were always one step behind. Einstein was perhaps one of the most intelligent people in the world, but even he sometimes struggled with mathematics. He would have the equations he struggled with checked by him. Even Kurt Gödel found his speed disturbing and said this: Neumann's mind was so fast that working with him sometimes made you feel left behind. Neumann was not just using his mind, he was also analyzing it. He saw the brain as a computational system he could control. That is why later on he said this: computers are a simplified model of the human brain. But the ironic part is this: today's computers are trying to imitate his mind. But are they actually succeeding? In fact, people are not afraid of intelligence or intelligent people. They are afraid of the consequences he could create. The thoughts and calculations in von Neumann's mind were not just theoretical. Nuclear wars capable of changing the fate of the world. Game theories that would form the foundation of computers and artificial intelligence and self-improving machines. If he saw something as possible, it probably was, and that it was not comforting for anyone. Today, we can talk about artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is no longer just the subject of science fiction films. Today, topics such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and autonomous systems have moved to the center of our daily lives. But the foundation of all this was laid long ago, 70 years ago, by a single scientist, John von Neumann. The human brain has a limited capacity for how much information it can process per second. But Neumann believed that machines could surpass these limits and perform millions of calculations within seconds. This speed also carried a frightening potential. When von Neumann formulated the fundamental principles of computers in the 1940s, he had already anticipated an artificial intelligence design capable of such speeds. With this speed, would humanity seek answers to its greatest problems? Or could it become an uncontrollable force? The answer is still uncertain. At that time, Neumann had developed systems that demonstrated how memory and processing could be integrated. This model still forms the foundation of computer memory architecture today. Von Neumann also developed mathematical models that enabled machines to learn and make decisions. The foundations of AI and machine learning rest on his theoretical work. So we must ask the following question. If a machine can think like a human, can it go beyond the human mind? Is such a mind ahead of humanity? Or is it drifting away from humanity? In this video, we did not talk about how intelligent a person can be, because intelligence was never the point. The real question was how far a human being can go with thought alone. John von Neumann was not just solving problems. He also saw problems that did not yet exist, and without anyone noticing, he translated them into mathematics. In the next video, we will take a closer look at how this extraordinary mind taught computers how to think, how it gave machines memory, and how it turned human thought into a system